make you feel?
I'm usually, I don't find those statements alarming, unfortunately, because I'm usually err on the side of free speech. And I think they are symbolic. I know Sifuna can be reckless, but, metaphor, of course, they can be construed in either way. But I'm just saying that to show that my standard is very low, because I even, up to now, have not found how Trump incited his people to invade Congress. I still believe those people did it on their own. So I have a very low standard, because I rather err in terms of free speech. I think that ODM felt caged and cornered. They might have been in panicky mood a little bit. I find that, and then I'm optimistic, because I think that we know where we have been. The booing and all that might be changed. They're not that good, but they're not so bad in my view. We are not doing so bad. We are not seeing people mobilizing. It is more in terms of, we go to a funeral, somebody is being booed, and remember, it's the leaders who are actually in the front line trying to grab mic from each other. So in my view, I don't think so, because I even oppose those who are saying, punguza temperature ya siasa. I think that is nonsense, because you cannot tell people not to talk of issues or plan of issues, and that saini saya kazi. Nobody takes money from your pocket. Nobody take policy paper and trash them because people are selling politics. So I don't think it is as bad as people believe, number one. But secondly, I also feel that the structure that somebody like Magoha find himself is a structure that is not his making. He might be a perpetrator, but he's also a victim to some extent, because he's not the one who does the report. The report is done by the security arm. So I don't know why, out of his generosity, spoke about it. I'm one of the people who have supported him for closing the schools, because education comes after life. And knowing that education affects about 30-40% of our population, it was good to slow down the education. And I really know him as a courageous guy, because I noticed that the international school wanted to continue. They went to Magoha and said, we have our infrastructure, we are international, we can social distance. And he told them, I'm not making policies for the rich. I'm making policy for Kenyans. If you can go to Kibera and tell me how Kibera can also do the same, then we will open back the schools. So I think it's not all doom with Magoha, but he's operating in a system that is dilapidated and destroyed. There is no money. Nobody's giving him money. Money has gone to BBI. So what can my boy do? Apart from make some...
he cannot even release a paper document, a report.
He's not the one to...
But he can push. He's a minister of education. It's the students fall under him.
But Kenya,
the students are not under police.
You know that Matiang'i is also his boss, isn't he? Isn't he the convener of the ministries? So
but I don't think Matiang'i is the boss of Magoha.
Do you delegate?
The boss is the president.
Do you delegate to your boss? No, the ministry which should do the investigation is the police, which is under...
I agree with you.
Matiang'i.
Yes,
Matiang'i is also very familiar with education. Remember, he was in education before. So here is Magoha. It is Matiang'i who is supposed to do it. It is Matiang'i who is also the prefect of the ministers. There is no money here. To give credit, let me tell you the person Magoha was. When everybody stood up to dance to the Jerusalem challenge, that is driving me to suicidal thoughts. Because rather than dealing with serious issues like you are bringing here, Kenyans will rather do Jerusalem challenge. And then it is the same dance, only done worse. because one challenge in South Africa was just good enough. But that is not good enough for Kenya. So rather than dealing with it's an escapist way. Rather than dealing with their problems and their and their epidemic and their and the poverty that has become systematic, they jump to Jerusalem challenges, including parliament. I just don't know how the team in Sagana forgot the Jerusalem challenge. I wish somebody whispered, by the way, this thing cannot be over mpaka tufanye Jerusalem challenge. Magoha, to his credit, is the only person who sat throughout. Even people like church elder like Matiang'i who cannot move, try to move. Magoha sat in Kisumu and did not get into the silliness of the day. That is my guy anytime. Thank you.
So you feel Magoha is working because he refused to participate in the Jerusalem challenge?
It is hilarious. It is hilarious.
The same question on you, Nathaniel. I mean, we had a country, and you know, it's quite interesting because, you know, Ojwang says it's not that bad. And Ojwang actually went to ICC, by the way. Ojwang was a lawyer at ICC. So when he says it's not as bad, I mean, he should be the first person who should be worried because he walked through the trenches of justice, the trenches of the consequences of violence. So, I mean, I'm also almost baffled, though I'm not surprised anymore, that Ojwang, you can be somehow tolerant and you can have some gloves on political intolerance. Having been, or you want another job again? Are you trying to look for legal fees? Anyway, for me, I get worried when I say such things because it's only a build-up. You know, the worst thing about politics is that the people.
Those are the days somebody could sit in a stage and say, "I don't like tribe B. They are bad people." That is not happening anymore.
It's happening. Arati did that on a podium.
Arati did that, but those people that he's talking about have the state power to protect themselves. They have media to call media and say, Arati we ni mjinga wa mwisho. You know, no, when we look at the balance of arms, If today I said something about Mama Mboga, she's not going to call KTN and Citizen and NTV and say, Ojwang is wrong. But if I say something about those who own media, who owns this media, mainstream media, it is the same people that can call all the media and have a whole special week, a whole week to detox if they want. You see, the mobilization was around the tribe. Right now, look at it this way. I was reading the newspaper, the registrar of political parties, he's saying that Hustler narrative is divisive. How? That it is not inclusive. Why are you talking of the poor? This thing is not, you are not talking of the rich. I mean, so sometimes I become a little bit hesitant to say that when we find narratives that is not working for us, we call it hate. When we find a situation that it's a little hard for us, we call it intolerant. Let us label the playfield, I agree with you. But that label playfield should start with a good IBC, good election system, which we don't have as we talk.
I agree.
So I'm not flip-flopping.
All right. As you weigh in also, Nathaniel, there's something that very fundamental that he has raised about the people can defend themselves. But the problem is that also the justice system is rigged. I can imagine if the person who was making that statement in Kisii was someone like Sudi, because they share something with Arati. I mean, they are a bit reckless as well. If it was someone on the other side who was making, we have Sonko right now, he's sitting in the gallows. We'll go to that. But when you look at the way the justice system is, it's already rigged against some people.
It is obvious.
The same statement are coming in from one side are tolerated. MCS yesterday was talking a lot of gusto. And they're saying we are ready to fight. Edwin Sibuna, it's evident, the video is there, and they're saying that we are going to face our enemies. When someone talks about facing your enemy, it's not about coming to massage your enemy.
You say this means war.
Yes,
we have
war.
war on drugs.
Yeah.
We've been fighting physically.
That is a declaration of war.
So, how does that make you feel?
It is obvious, Bitok, that the justice system in Kenya is rigged. We have two sets of judicial systems. We have the first set of judicial system for the poor, then the other judicial system is for the rich. If today, and we have seen it, the judicial system is already skewed against the poor, and it is obvious. There are judges who will make a pronouncement against the poor people, and there are those who will make pronouncements and even excuse the rich people who are going to face if they are found, if they are taken to the judiciary. So it is obvious we have two sets of the judicial systems, and we have to live with that fact unless the masses rise up and say that we want to level the playing field. The reason why we are having these problems is because we have never experienced electoral justice at the ballot save for 2002. All other elections since independence have always been rigged against somebody. And the moment we sort out the issue of electoral justice, that is then we will say the playing field is level. You've seen what happened in 2002. Kenya was ranked the most happy people in the world. We were number one because the level of enthusiasm and hope that was inspired among our people, the masses, was so high that Kibaki was coming in to be a savior, to change things that were the historical injustices, the marginalization that had happened for so many years since independence. Since then, 2007, we saw the same. We have seen the historical parallels between 2007 and 2005 referendum and what is happening right now. These are just red flags. This is a pointer of what is going to come in the next 15 months. And Bitok, you can take it to the bank that if we don't sort out the electoral system, if we don't have justice at the ballot, then we are going to experience this thing. Even if we bring BBI 1, BBI version 2, if we don't sort out the issue of electoral justice, that your vote counts, that if Bitok today votes, your vote should count as 1, and not that another person's vote is counted as 2. If we don't sort that issue of electoral justice, we will never have enough BBI. We will continue having BBIs, handshakes, and these things are not going to be sorted out. So the basic thing is to make sure that we go to the reports that I've done before. I've looked at the reports, like for instance, the Kriegler Commission report, the Independent Review Commission. They made very good recommendations regarding on how to sort the electoral system so that the rest of these problems are sorted out. If you look at the Kriegler Commission report, you will wonder why do we have BBI? We should have just taken the Kriegler Commission report, the Ndungu Commission report, the TJRC report, and implement those reports. We don't need BBI and all these things. But because the system is already rigged against the poor masses, these things are discussed at the high boys, the big boys are discussing them at their clubs.
Then they come and say, this is what we've agreed.
It is not a people-driven initiative. So if you look at, particularly, let me point out the Kriegler Commission report, and let me point out two recommendations they made. They made that because the issue has always been about the voter register. They said voter register should be automatic upon attaining the age of 18. Because there are certain regions that are denied the chance to vote, that you can only get a voter, you can get into the voter register once you have acquired an ID, and it is always a very serious hassle. So Kriegler Commission report recommended that upon attaining the age of 18, your name automatically finds its way into the voter register. And then it should be based on residency with the option of changing. That now you are a voter in this area where you stay. That was a very, very good recommendation. Secondly, they made a raft of proposals on how to manage the elections, at least 2 years to the elections, deploying technology and managing technology on polling day, and making sure that technology works. It is combined with the human, the manual aspect. If we don't sort out those issues, we have seen what the IEBC is going through. Right now, IEBC is expected to conduct a referendum, at the same time plan for the general election. How possible is that going to be? It is not going to be possible for IEBC. We only have 3 commissioners. We have Chebukati, we have Abdigulie, and another called Bola Mod. Only 3 commissioners. With 15 months to the elections, Bitok. How can the 3 commissioners manage a referendum and manage a general election?
And you see that is where my question.
If we don't sort out this issue, and we have seen what Akina Nani saying, Akina Sifuna, the reason why Sifuna is making those statements, and I don't support them at all. I know Sifuna, we have been in the trenches together during the NASA. We formed NASA as ANC party, and we gave them, we gave Baba to carry the vision. And you saw what
Safari ya Kanani.
You know what Sifuna you know this story. When we arrived at River Jordan, you know what ODM and Raila did? What ODM and Raila did is that they betrayed the hopes and the struggles of the masses. The Nazarites who were going to Canaan, they were betrayed at River Jordan. Allegedly, that there were crocodiles in River Jordan. But that is not the story. The story is Sifuna is calling for war at the wrong time when he should be calling for peace. And it is simple. It is selfish pursuit of power. The likes of Sifuna, they're just pushing this, they're beating the drums of war because they want power at all means, even if it is on the deaths of the people. I don't support those statements. I don't support the clarion call by ODM, and we know this. You've seen what Simba Arati did to Osoro. As much as it is Osoro who started this thing, you saw what Simba Arati was almost saying. Simba Arati was calling for the Kisii community to rise up against a leader. I've never been associated with the Tanga politics. I am not a supporter of William Ruto. I support another political formation. But just because somebody has taken the podium, you take the platform and then you say the deputy president should apologize for the deaths of the Kisii people who died elsewhere, when it is not the deputy president. The deputy president has not been found guilty for having caused deaths of Kisiis anywhere. So when a leader says that the deputy president should apologize, I think it is wrong, because we must give everybody a fair chance. The deputy president has never been found guilty anywhere for the death of anybody. So you cannot rise up on the podium, then you say the deputy president should apologize. That was wrong. That was reckless. Basically what Simba Arati was doing was calling the Kisii people to rise up against the Kalenjin community. As a leader as a young person from Kisii land, I don't support what these two gentlemen did. And if you look at the act that happened during that burial, it is shameful, because young people like us, we want to vie. Personally, I will be vying for Member of Parliament North Mugirango constituency in 2022, and I'm a young person.
You'll be a sort of neighbor.
What will I tell the elders in my community? What will I tell the women? What will I tell my fellow youth when they are seeing an example of two elected young people, Simba Arati and Osoro? They'll be generalizing all of us and say, you young people, when we give you opportunities of leadership, you are going to punch each other in burials, and it will be they are diminishing the chances of young people at the ballot. So I don't support that act, what the two leaders did. I don't support Osoro rising up to the platform and then confronting Simba Arati, but I also don't support what Simba Arati did. So I
think it was really provocative, because he was calling these guys thieves. In short, he was calling Osoro thieves and conmen.
Osoro should have held his cool and taken the platform, because he had a chance, and respond to those instead of getting physical, because it was a bad demonstration. In fact, I'm very sure even the deputy president himself, because Osoro is very close to the DP, I'm sure the deputy president himself must call him to order. As a leader, he must call him to order and tell him next time, because the deputy president has made considerable inroads in Kisii land. So with the act of Osoro, I am sure there are people who are going to be cautious. They are going to say, if we give the deputy president a chance, and this is what his people are going to do in State House, then they will raise questions back. Because the deputy president himself is a civil man. He always argues out his points ideologically. If you listen to his speech in Kisii at that burial, he brought out ideological points. His ideological points are very sharp, they are very calculated, they are very witty. If you listen to them, you will know that this is a man who knows. He knows how to articulate his positions. And that is what, personally, I support. We should disagree on the basis of positions that are articulated ideologically. But I don't support physical violence. So because of the drums of war that we are beating, and I'm happy Ojwang is here, he has gone through this process. We are going to have a very bad election in 2022, because this is going to be a succession election. It's going to be it's not an ordinary election. It is a transition from one regime to another. If we don't take care, these red flags that we are seeing in Bama, in Githurai, somebody else is calling for this and this. We are going to zone this country, that person X cannot go to Central, person Y cannot come to Kisumu, person Z cannot go to Kalenjin land to campaign, Kamba, just like that. If we are going to zone this country into regions that you cannot campaign here, you cannot come to Githurai, you cannot come to Kericho, Kisumu, Kisii to campaign, then we are going to have a very bad general. It is going to be worse. And now that it is compounded by the pandemic that has ravaged the lives of our people, I am telling you, Bitok, is going to be a worse election, because if war was to break out today, with the ravaging unemployment, and the young people are going to rise up to hit into the calls of war. So something that must be called out.
There's something that Ojwang, I know you have something to weigh in, but there's something that this guy has brought up: the issue of IEBC. And I think the issue with IEBC and electoral system, it's like a moving dining table. You complain when it's on the other end. When it's on your end, you're okay. You know, it's okay. Because you can see the same people have been complaining about the electoral system. The ODM party, this time has been participating in actually interfering with the independence of IEBC. You know, the other day they were pushing IEBC, you must give us, you must approve these signatures, you must do this within this time. Where is the independence of institutions? And these are the same guys for the longest time. They have been complaining about the independence of institutions,
Right.
and the fidelity of the institutions to perform their duties without interference from either government or any other party. Now these guys are sitting in government, and for them they feel it is okay to intimidate the IEBC. It's okay to intimidate the IEBC chair, but it's not okay for another party to do the same thing on the independence of independent institutions in the government. We complain about these things when it's affecting us. When the dining table turns and now you have the chicken, you're saying it's okay. I mean, don't worry about the table. It's revolving, right? What's your feeling on that, Ojwang? Even as you weigh in on what you already put in.
You know, I like the comment that and I wish him all the best with the ANC Secretary General. ANC must, if they are betrayed, they must not just say it in a harsh tone. By the way, I'm betrayed. But I support BBI, but I'm betrayed. They should not just be whispering. If you are betrayed, let the world know.
You've been betrayed.
I've been betrayed. Which is very different from the style they are doing. By the way, these are not good people. Remember, they promised to leave this thing for me. By the way, no, so that inconsistency is not good. But you know, I had a friend that whenever they play poker and they find that he's losing, he flips the table. He flips the table. Yeah. In fact, when you are winning and you are playing with him, you actually sit on the table and make sure the table is secured. Because as a defense mechanism, he will find every other way to flip that table. I think that what Simbarati was saying about the killing in Kisii is not fair, and it is intended. It's desperate. You know, when somebody is desperate, you can see that it's a desperate attempt, and is trying to flip the table. It appears to be boldness. The reason I'm not so much worried about even what Sifuna was saying, it appeared to be boldness, but I'm looking at fear. It is out of desperation and fear. Fear that they are losing the narrative, fear that they are losing the ground, and therefore you kind of want to reclaim, but you don't know how best to do. But so yes, IBC, whatever we can do to level the playfield, and that's why I think it is prudent to not follow individual but system or ideals like justice, fairness, humanity, because human beings flip-flop. Today they are here, tomorrow they are the other side. But if we are a country of law and rules and system and good governance, then it doesn't matter. Martha Karua likes saying, you know, when you are making law, make it that your enemy can fit to it, because tomorrow you might need it. This has been said severally. The revolution needs its baby and all that. But yeah, so you find, you are right. You know, Junet these days speak like Jesus, with a lot of finality, even on issues that are far remote, because of the promise of the system. But I want to conclude by just wondering aloud that it looks to me that the two gentlemen here have put a lot of faith in what law is and what law is capable of doing. But I think law was not meant to change things. A law always work on the interest generally of the powerful. Law aids human right and the invisibility of abuse, because the law protects property sometimes that it doesn't matter how you got it. If you look at colonization and all the system, the Europeans brought law not to help Africans or to level the playfield, but to structurally have violence, so that when they have put handicap on you, as you are saying Mau Mau, you are labeled a criminal. It doesn't matter whether you are fighting at the essence of justice about your land. When this is state violence, when you are put in prison there, we all say those are uhalifu. But if we looked around, how many are really truly guilty in there, and how many rich people are not? So, there is one literature that says when a death or a tragedy visit the king or royalty, it become a calamity. But if it visit the common man, it's just statistics. Statistics
it's an event.
Are numbers with tears washed off. So law, we are being very optimistic with what law can do. If Maraga Chief Justice found himself so helpless that he even saying, my people, protect the rule of law, things that have ordered the country to do, we have ruled about even the judges should be appointed, the government have refused. So generally we can talk of rule of law and all that, but law in its essence aids the powerful. Law in its essence aids those who have means of production. Law in its essence maintains the status quo. If there is field that is more conservative, that it is hard to change, it is the legal field. Lower your expectation in what law can do, and therefore I'm not surprised when we say, wow, this is two system. We can always challenge it from outside and say this is not the ideals, but law have never been about the ideal. Law have always aided. I remember my first class in law school, when the teacher asked me, why are you here, and I said for justice, he told me and truth, he told me you need to go to a seminary. This is not where there is truth and all that. This is where law is very conservative. Law always aid the poor, not the poor but the rich. Now think about it. Who are in parliament? Are they middle class? Are they the poor people? Do you think law would have been different if it was made by people from Kibera? I think so. If the so-called hustlers were the one in parliament, the unemployed are the ones in parliament making law, will it be the same? No. But who are the parliamentarians who are making the law? They are generally middle class, isn't it? Yeah. And if they are not middle class, they are given a lot of money so that they catch up and become middle class. Why? How do you think they are going to rule? Are they headed towards poverty or headed towards wealth? Their trajectory of life is towards getting more money. So are they going to make laws for the poor or laws for the rich? That is what has been happening. These things, even the debt ceiling we are talking about, have been approved all this time in parliament, have they not? There is no day that parliament have rejected to increase the debt ceiling. Yeah. How? So where is the independence of institution? Where is the separation of power? We have really, Africans are good with setting institutions and the constitution without constitutionalism, and it's only by name, but by action. I'm telling you, whoever sits in State House can control parliament, and they do control parliament, control who sits in a committee. They are called, and the parliamentarians who are there, the name of the people who have been selected are read to them. Isn't it ironical that they are the ones in parliament and the separation of power? They're the ones who should be saying who we are going to give minority chief whip or whatever. How many times do you even see real voting or on issues in parliament? It's like robots. You should just go and count how many are for Baba, how many are for... And you
don't even need to vote.
No, why?
You count them at the door and you already say...
Let Orengo give us the ODM numbers and Nani give us... Mutula Jr. give us the Nini numbers. What is so ingenious about him refusing to vote for Sonko that he is abstaining? What is so what is the innovation there? So have you seen, if parliamentarians cannot vote, they are conscious, my friend, and they have never voted on issues, and it is simply a matter of what the party leader. There is no party in Kenya. You know that. There is no party. We try to put money and give it to party. We don't have parties. We have the party leaders, and wherever they move, isn't it? They are the parties.
Yeah.
So there is no institution of parties. These people, if parliamentarians cannot vote on their conscience or on issues, why do you blame Wanjiku? Where will Wanjiku get the goosebump to now do the right thing if the member of parliament elected with 60,000 votes is called like a child and told, I heard what you said in the press, go there in the next 5 minutes and give a different position. Do you remember that Mbadi recant?
Yeah.
Where Junaid simply said, like, God, I think he has not been briefed of the new development. And he came and said, yeah, I think now that I've been briefed well. I mean, are you a robot? Are you in autopilot? Do you have your mind? So why do we blame, if that is what we are given? We have a country where, you know, look at the US. Some Republicans disagree with Trump and said, I'm a Republican, but here you are wrong. Can that happen in Kenya? And when we have it, now when people who were championing for justice, fairness, and freedom, right now, Senator Orengo favorite quote is Machiavelli. Where I don't know where he dropped the Constitution. I don't know where he dropped Montego and all that. Now it's like power. There's only one leader. And Machiavelli, he has become friends with Machiavelli. He's very intimate with Machiavelli. And whatever, no wonder whatever is happening with the BBI is Machiavellian. Machiavelli was a book written in, I don't know, 1700, 1800. Europe moved far from there. But if you go to our political science department, we still talk of leaders ruling like Machiavelli, leave alone that we came with the 2010 constitution. So I'm saying all this to say that lower your hopes and don't be so disappointed when you find that law was not meant to help the poor. Law was not meant to label the playing field. That is not the purpose of law. Do people go to law school to fight for the poor? No. The first case you have is a case of eviction, that this person has not paid, though they have paid all the premium they were given, the principal, but now the interest is maybe twice, and they now go to court and get eviction. And we were told as good lawyers that even if it's a case of eviction, do not finish your submission by without saying, Your Honor, for the sake of justice, even if you know there's no justice. For the sake of justice, Your Honor, may I move this court to agree that my client here, who is now asking 3 times the price of the interest, for the sake of justice, those are just terminology there. So lower your expectation and the law. I've said it here severally that Kenya have changed not because of law, but because of dissent. People have always been ahead of the law, isn't it? People have always been ahead of the law. Baba swearing was ahead of the law. BBI is coming to catch up with this swearing in, and now Prime Minister is coming position to ratify. So people in Kenya things have never been moved by law. By the time Moi was changing to multi-party, was it because he had a clean heart? By the time he's telling Saitoti, Professor, there come a time that country is more important, was it because they like this country? It was because of the embargo. It was because of the noise of the likes of Orengo. So put up your big boy pants, get to the street, agitate. But if you keep turning those pages of the Constitution, all you can do is make a philosophical argument. Law takes vigilance, and the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Thanks.
Yes, sasa ametupiga na makwats mzito. Now let's move to MCS. MCS are demanding for 2 million Gakrans, 2.5 million for them to pass BBI. Very conditional. Give us the Gakrans even yesterday in current. Give us the Gakrans and we pass the BBI for you. What should we Wananchi be asking for? Where is the place of the Wananchi? Because these are the guys who are the representatives of the people, and they are saying this is what we want. And these are the people who are giving also these Gakrans, and the people are saying they want to fight corruption. Where is the line? Is there not a very thin line or white line between corruption and what is happening now? If this thing is so good, Walter, why do we need to bribe MCS?
Bitok,
Do we even need meetings?
From the very beginning, BBI was not a people-driven initiative, and we have all said that. BBI was a government initiative. It was from the top, now being imposed at the bottom. And I want to say, before I go further, that what Dr. Ojwang has said regarding ANC party, that we are saying these things in harsh voices, that is not true. As a party, we said clearly, and we stated this position. I think the good doctor is busy consummating the law. He has not been following the politics in ANC.
Ouch.
He has not been following around what we are doing, because he's a very brilliant doctor. I think he's reading too much of the law and he's not following the ANC news. What we have said publicly.
I mean, we've been seeing your party leader also having clandestine affairs. The same people he claims to have betrayed.
Not really, because all the political leaders in Kenya
having multiple orgasms.
With these oppressors.
Not
with
true.
These oppressors.
That is not true. All the political party leaders in this country have participated on the same platform, whether it is BBI 1, BBI 2. And Bitok, let me state this clear so that I move to the question.
Right.
ANC party, we have said that we are not joining Jubilee. When other parties were joining Jubilee, in fact, they were not even thinking, they were running to Jubilee to sign cooperation agreements. That is Elter Skelter. That is a mouthful of word. When other parties were running to join Jubilee, KANU signed a cooperation with Jubilee. Wiper, CCM, which other party signed with Jubilee?
KANU.
ODM is in Jubilee because of the handshake. They are eating in the same table. It is only ANC that put a public position that ANC, we are not going to join Jubilee. We are not going to sign a cooperation agreement with Jubilee. And we stated that publicly.
We are just going to
Reason
cooperate.
being, no, we said we are not going to cooperate with Jubilee.
Okay.
I use those words. And we said it.
Will you allow me to pull me a call? To pull in a call?
Yes.
There's a call online. Hello, good morning.